Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. We'll chant Om once together. Synchronize the chanting of Om with your exhalation. Breathe in. Sahana bhavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Gently open your eyes. We will chant from verses 68 to 72 of chapter 2. Tasmadhyasya mahabaho,
Tasmadhyasya mahabaho,
nigrihitani sarvashah,
nigrihitani sarvashah,
indriyani-indriyarthebhyah,
indriyani-indriyarthebhyah,
tasya prajna pratisthita,
tasya prajna pratisthita,
ya nisha sarvabhutanam,
ya nisha sarvabhutanam,
tasyam jagarti sanyami,
tasyam jagarti sanyami,
yasyam jagrati bhutani,
yasyam jagrati bhutani,
sa nisha pashyato muneः,
sa nisha pashyato muneः,
आपूर्यमाणमचल प्रतिष्ठम्,
आपूर्यमाणमचल प्रतिष्ठम्,
समुद्रमापः प्रविशन्ति यद्वत्,
समुद्रमापः प्रविशन्ति यद्वत्,
तद्वत् कामायं प्रविशन्ति सर्वे,
तद्वत् कामायं प्रविशन्ति सर्वे,
स शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी,
स शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी,
विहाय कामान् यः सर्वान्,
विहाय कामान्यः सर्वान्,
पुमांश्चरति निःस्पृहः,
पुमांश्चरति निःस्पृहः,
निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः,
निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः
सशान्तिमधिगच्छति
सशान्तिमधिगच्छति
एषा ब्राह्मी स्थितिः पार्थ
एषा ब्राह्मी स्थितिः पार्थ
नैनां प्राप्य विमुह्यति
नैनां प्राप्य विमुह्यति
स्थित्वा स्यामन्तकालेऽपि
स्थित्वा स्यामन्तकालेऽपि
ब्रह्मनिर्वाणमृच्छति
ब्रह्मनिर्वाणमृच्छति
Hari Om, and a very good day to all of you. So we have been seeing the deeper messages hidden in verse number 72, especially last week we saw this powerful sadhana of prapya. Actually, there is a sense of auspiciousness about this word prapya. Prapya means completeness. It gives a feeling of completeness. Having obtained, having received everything. So that is why I spent a lot of time on that word, because when you absorb the energy of prapya, slowly you will start becoming a complete person. Because here he is talking of having attained this. This means the state of Brahman, the infinite. So, prapya means attaining the infinite. Now, when you attain the infinite, when you become one with the infinite, what about the finite things? All the finite things are included in the infinite. That is why I said this has a sense of completeness. That is something which will enrich your life. So how to absorb this energy of prapya into your life? That's why so many dimensions were given to you. Out of all these dimensions, if you pick up whatever appeals to you, even one or two dimensions to start with, and if you start practicing that in your life, you will find that your life will start becoming enriched. Whatever be your level, wherever you are, whatever be your circumstance, it does not matter. All you need to focus on as a sadhak is how can I apply this wisdom in my life today. The mind generally tends to have this weakness of looking for reasons why this can't be applied. So as a sadhak, you should counter this tendency of the mind. We always look for reasons why the positive things cannot happen in our lives. Any positive practice, why am I unable to do this? That is the first thought which comes. Your entire life goes away in giving reasons to yourself for not doing the higher things, for not following the higher principles. So overcome that weakness of the mind. Every Sunday when this wisdom is being given to you and when this energy is being given to you, you are placed in a better position to choose the higher. Left to itself, the mind will start deteriorating. So you need to pull it up all the time. So in order to pull the mind up, you require this wisdom. But the mind will try to place various reasons why these cannot be practiced. It could be any reason. You may give personal reasons, like you may say, oh, my work, there's a lot of pressure or stress in the work front, or there's a lot of problems in the family, or you may say, you may cite some health issues, or it may not be personal, it may be related to the world also. You may say the situation is not so conducive outside. Some people say with so much of negativity going on in the world today, it's not possible to practice all this. So like this, if you start listing down reasons, or rather if you encourage the mind to give reasons or justifications for not practicing this, that list will be endless. Instead, start thinking on these lines. How do I apply this in my life today? So many dimensions have been given. So the first one which we saw was putting that effort, reaching out, attaining your goals. Can't that be applied wherever you are, whatever it is that you're doing? It can be. Because your efforts is in your hands. Another person's efforts is not in your hands 100%. See, right now, as this wisdom is being given, the efforts which the speaker needs to put is in his hands. But whether the receiver will be able to receive it fully or not is not in his hands. So where should he focus? He should focus on his efforts. The next dimension was obtained. This is beyond efforts. In life, we need to become very humble. As I told you, this is a language of contradiction. Then we saw the third dimension, which is found, searching. So you need to seek, you need to be clear about what it is that you want in life. A person who is crystal clear will be, that is crystal clear about what he wants, will be able to create his destiny. But at the same time, arrived, come, that is another dimension. It means you don't need to search anywhere outside for the infinite. That infinite God is right within you. And the prapya also means met with. That is, you exactly cannot time it. Suddenly you get that experience. This is true with every experience in life. You cannot say when exactly the bud is going to become a flower. You just keep on waiting and suddenly it blooms. A child is struggling to crawl. If you see a baby which is trying to learn to crawl, now it'll try its best. Supposing you keep an object in front of it, it will want to reach the object, so it will try to push with the chest, on the ground, and it will try to go. But actually the baby will start moving in the opposite direction. Now as an adult, you may wonder, when is the baby going to learn? Now it keeps on trying, and suddenly one day it starts crawling. So you put all your efforts, the sincerity is the key there, and the results will come when they have to come. Yes, you do have a plan, program and all that, but don't get too stressed about your own plans. The planning and all that is suggested so that you get a direction in life, otherwise you will become tamasic. But then don't get worked up about your plans. You should always have the buffers in between. Many things can go wrong. Go wrong in the sense it may not go according to exactly what you may have planned. So the flexibility is very important. Then the dimension which is where prapya means suffering, endurement, that is the willingness to do tapas, the capacity to put up with small inconveniences of life, to put up with the present difficulties so that you can achieve your long-term vision. And prapya also means completed. Means you go on doing your efforts till you complete. That is the Shraddha Shakti. Shraddha means the capacity to be consistent in doing something till you achieve it, till you complete it. Without Shraddha Shakti, you can never become an achiever. In the next Yoga Sankirtan, the Maha Ganapati Dhyana, about invoking the energy of Lord Ganesha, the success and abundance into your life. It's going to be very interesting, where several Shaktis, 5 Shaktis are going to be invoked. And one of that Shakti is Shraddha Shakti. The 5 important Shaktis or energies required to succeed in life, to attract abundance, prosperity and positive things in life, to remove all the karmic obstacles. You require 5 basic Shaktis. One of them is Shraddha. So when the Yoga Sankirtan material becomes ready, you can do that sadhana. A person who does the sadhana and increases the Shraddha Shakti learns to complete things in life, learns to become very consistent in whatever he or she pursues. It's a very powerful dimension. So if you do all this, then I told you the one more dimension I gave you. Prapya means one. One means you are a winner. Winner in the sense not in a competitive sense. See, these words have been used in the wrong sense, unfortunately, today. See, everything is done in a competitive way today. That is, you're competing with others. So instead, in the ancient wisdom, what they are saying is, you compete with yourself. You try to better yourself every day. You don't need to be first with respect to others. You decide what it is that you want and you achieve it. Then you're a winner. I tell students also, don't keep your goal as I want to come first or second. It's not about that. You decide how much marks do you need in this subject and get it. Then you're successful. So you should deserve things in life by practicing the sadhana of prapya. Without practicing all this, if you just simply sit and keep asking, then your whole life will be one of complaints. You will go on blaming others, you will go on blaming circumstances. There is no end to that. So this particular word prapya, the sadhana of prapya, has the necessary ingredients. See, it is a very powerful tool for you to reverse the energy process from leading a life of unfulfillment, from leading a life of complaints. You can reverse the energy process, the energy flow, to lead a life of fulfillment, of one of gratitude, not complaints. So having attained prapya, having attained this, none is deluded. All the delusions, all the negativities, everything will go away, he says. So powerfully declaring it to you, and he is inspiring you. Now, after saying that, he says, having got established in this, that is stitva. Stitva means having got established. Stiram. Stiram means strong, you know. So one is to practice, but other is to gain mastery over something. So when you are in the stage of practice, there is always a chance of slipping. But when you mastered something, then that is a state of getting established, stitva. So he says, first he said prapya. Now you go on practicing that till you get firmly established in the higher. Once you get established in this, he says, having got established in this, even at the end of life, antakale api. Antakale means, kala means time, antakale means the end of time, means he is talking of death with respect to this birth. He says, even at the end of your life, last moment of your life, if you get established in this, one attains the ultimate liberation of Brahman. Brahma nirvanam richati. The ultimate enlightenment of the infinite. Brahman represents the infinite. That you can attain even if you get established in this, even at the end of your life, he says. Now we will go into this deeply. It's a very powerful statement he's making. But prima facie, if you just read the translation, there is something which strikes you. The moment he says, having got established in this, even at the end of life, you will attain the ultimate state of Brahman, the infinite. What strikes you immediately is that the message, the first message which is trying to convey is that age is not a factor when it comes to spiritual progress. Age belongs to the physical body, not to the mind, not to your thinking, definitely not to the soul. We have strange concepts. See, the mind is conditioned by all kinds of wrong ideas, wrong beliefs. So one such belief is that, it is very interesting when a person does not want to do this. Now he brings out this belief. He brings age as a reason. I told you, if you want to give reasons, you can give any reason you want. So why aren't you doing your sadhana? Why aren't you applying this wisdom? If only I had got this when I was young, I would have been able to. Now I have become old. Where am I going to practice this? This is one of the reasons which the mind gives. The most interesting part is where you ask a young person, why aren't you doing your sadhana? Why don't you gain this wisdom? He or she will say, see, I am so young. Now itself you're asking me to take up this. Let me live my life, After that I'll come to this. Okay, then you go to a person who's in the middle age and ask that person, are you ready to take up this wisdom? He'll say, see, I've just now gotten into the thick and thin of various things. So many plans are there, goals are there, duties are there. I just can't leave all this and suddenly take up this knowledge. I don't have time. So, this is this is how it is. So many things are there to do. So give me some time. Once I finish all my duties, when I come to old age, I will take it up. But then you go and ask a person who has finished all his or her duties. There's nothing like finishing. I'm just saying, let us say after retirement. Now why don't you take up this wisdom? See, if this wisdom is meant to make a person dynamic. Now I have finished my life. I will see it in the next life. What can I practice now? So, at any phase of life, if you want to give age as a reason, you can give. See, when he says even at the end of life, it is only an example. But what he's trying to say is that age is not a factor at all. The human mind gives age or the time as a very big factor for not being able to pursue the higher. It is very interesting. That is why Adi Shankaracharya in the Bhajagovindam, he said, Balastavat Krida Sakta. When you're a child, you'll be playing with toys. The child has no time. Okay, we'll wait till the child is young age-wise, so let the child grow. Tarunastavat Taruni Sakta. Means when you become youthful, the Taruni Sakta means the mind will be attached to the various lust and passion and so many things. Vriddhastavat Chinta Sakta. Once you become old, the mind will get attached to chinta, worries, he says. Just simply worrying about nothing. Worrying about small things, So if you are not careful, your entire life will just go away and you will not be able to fulfill your purpose of life. So from this moment onwards, the message, the sadhana message which we get from here is, from this moment onwards, don't give age, time, all these factors as excuses to do your sadhana. It is not only with respect to your sadhana, even with respect to fulfilling your duties in life, fulfilling your goals in life. Never ever give age as an example, as a reason. Don't look for a perfect time, conducive time. See, we always think we require the best time to achieve best results. If you decide today, you have the capacity, especially you are all sadhaks, you're doing your sadhana. So whatever time you decide is the best time for you. There is nothing like good time, bad time for a sadhak. You create all the goodness. You attract whatever abundance you want in your life. So the mind keeps on giving reasons like time, time is not conducive, age is not conducive, too many duties, this, that. See, when he gives the example of age, you should extrapolate it and go to the principle of what he's saying. He is attacking the tendency in the mind to keep justifying, to keep giving reasons why you are unable to do whatever you want to do in life, whatever you ought to do in life. Even from a relative sense, many people have told me, I wanted to do this, I wanted to do, why didn't you do all that? Some reason they give. This was not conducive, that was not conducive. One person was telling me, I have a wealth of experience in his field. I really want to write a book. I said, for how many years have you been having this desire? He said, for last 15-20 years, I've been wanting to write a book. I said, so what is the progress of that book? I've not even started. Then for last 15-20 years, you've only been thinking, I want to write a book. There is I remember in one movie which I saw when I was young, during school days, there was a comedy scene where a person asks a youngster what it is that you want to become, He says, I want to become a doctor. I said, why? No, I follow the footsteps of my father. To which he asked him, Acha, your father was a doctor, is it? He said, no, he also wanted to become a doctor. So that is how our whole life is. We want to do so many things, but we keep giving reasons. One such reason is age. I have known people who were great achievers after their so-called retirement from work, So as far as a mind is concerned, there is no retirement at all. Till the last minute, whether it is your worldly duties or whether it is your spiritual sadhana, you should keep to it. This is very important because we are going to start the third chapter, Karma Yoga. After the Guru Purnima, we are going to get into the third chapter. That is the yoga of action. Now, when are you going to act? Are you going to act when you are a child, or are you going to act when you are young or adult or old, or when? At all stages. See, the nature of activities may vary according to the body's condition, according to various other factors. You may decide to change the nature of activities, but the tendency to act should not be shirked. See, when during the COVID time we started getting into these online sessions. Now, when we think back, don't you think it was a blessing? Because we started these things online, more sadhaks have been benefited worldwide. That is how we should look at it. Now, the moment it started going online, there was a lot of tussle. Many people who are not used to technology, they were saying, I'm finding it difficult to operate this, that. Yes, give it a few months and you should learn. But lifelong, if you keep saying that, you don't know how to operate a cell, you don't know how to operate the basic technology which is required, because that is how the lifestyle is changing, the very trend is changing. So we need to immediately adapt and learn. But the common reason which I find people giving is, after this age, what can I learn? No. Today they have scientifically also, they have proved it, that the learning center of the brain, I think it's called hippocampus or something. Now, that can be rejuvenated. The very sadhana which we are doing incidentally will have that effect physically. But even scientifically they are saying that, because they were thinking that the brain cells can never grow. But now scientists are discovering that no, it is not that. That portion can keep growing. It has nothing to do with the physical age. It is to do with how you train your mind. So if you want to get the experience of the infinite, you should stop putting limitations to yourself. One such limitation is age. Now, this doesn't mean you go to that extreme where, see, that's why I said the nature of activities may vary. A person who is able to play a particular sport at the age of 25 may not be able to play the same sport in the same way at the age of 75. That is a different matter. But the tendency of the mind to give up activity, citing age as a reason, citing time as a reason. Sometimes you look for the best time. I'm waiting. Some people say, eternally you will be waiting. Why? I want to get married. Okay, why haven't you got married? Because I'm waiting for the right time. The universe will show me the right partner. Very strange things people say. High philosophy, All this will not work. If you want to succeed in life, if you want to succeed both in the worldly sense and in the spiritual dimension of your life, you need to stop giving reasons. See, you need to clip that weakness of the mind and start doing whatever you ought to do, materially and spiritually. Spiritually, the sadhana. Materially, whatever it is in your field which you need to do. So that is why he says, having got established in this even at the end of life. So even at the end of life, if you get established in this, you will become enlightened, he says. Now, the word api, even, is very important here. Because some people interpret this as, so therefore, realization or enlightenment can be attained only at the end of life. He doesn't say that. He says api means even. So the moment he takes the last point of this life and says that a person can become enlightened, then it means you can become enlightened at any point in your life. If even at the end of life you can achieve this, you can also achieve it right now. So you don't need to think about the end of life. Actually, if you were to analyze this, See, the mind again may misunderstand this. It may say, oh, even at the end of life I can achieve. So let me now think of God right at the end. How do you know that you're going to live for some more years? I'm not putting any thought in your mind, but it's just that life is so uncertain. Every moment is so precious. What is a guarantee that we'll be alive tomorrow or the next moment? There is no guarantee. So when he says the end of life, anta kale, actually kalaha means time. We are translating it as the end of life. But the end of time, he says. Now, how is life defined? Life is nothing but a flow of experiences. So when we talk of end of time, every experience has a beginning and it has an end. So your present experience actually defines your life. When he talks of kalaha, time, is he talking of the past or present or future? He is obviously not talking about the past because that has gone. Now there is no use talking about the future also because that has not yet come. See, the only time which is available to you is right now. So the end of time, antakale, from a deeper sense, it means right now. When this experience ends, see this whatever experience you're going through right now in the present moment of your life, it has a beginning, it has an end. That defines your life. Once this experience ends, the next experience will come. But that will come to you as a present moment. Now that will define your life. Moment by moment, your life is progressing. But the problem is when this moment has been given to you, you are thinking about your past moment or you are thinking about your future moments. You don't live your life fully. So when he says, having got established in this, means we will see it from a broader sense first. Means leading a complete life, having achieved whatever you have to achieve in the world and also achieving the highest, the ultimate purpose of life. Having done that at the end of life means at this moment, at this present moment, don't postpone. The tendency to postpone things in life is a deadly weakness stemming from tamas. For functional reasons, if you postpone something and say, I'll do it tomorrow, that is not a weakness. But out of laziness, out of giving some reason here and there, if you keep on postponing things, you will never progress in life. So the second message which we get from this, which is more deep, is is understanding life itself as this moment, what is happening right now to you. And if you live this moment in a full way, in a complete way, then your life will become complete, because this moment is the starting and ending of your life. Once this moment is over, the next moment comes, again you live it fully. So moment by moment, whatever you do is going to shape your destiny. So whenever you get into any negative emotion, understand you're wasting this precious gift of this moment which God has given you by getting angry or by feeling jealous or through fears or whatever the negative emotion is. That precious moment is getting wasted, and that is what is going to shape your destiny. So having got established in this antakale api, Antakale means philosophically right now, whatever you are going through, whatever stage of life you are in right now. It's a very powerful principle, you know. He's just passingly saying, having got established in this, even at the end of life, one attains the ultimate liberation of Brahman. Because his focus is on the ultimate liberation of Brahman. See, these great masters, they are completely attuned to the infinite. That for them, other things are all incidental only, other benefits. But for you, the other fringe benefits, we can call them as fringe benefits, you know, means they all mean so much to you. That is why in this yogic approach, we see things from the absolute level and from the relative level. So even at the end of life, Antakale means Kalaha is right now, as far as you are concerned. As a sadhak, you should develop this attitude that this moment may be the last moment of my life. So let me live it as perfectly as possible. Okay, what about the beginning of my life? Think that you are born right now. Start in a fresh way. Start every experience in a fresh way and end it fully. This is very deep. When we come to the Karma Yoga also, anyway, these things will be coming again and again from different angles. See, every experience has a start and an end, I said. But that is your whole life. If you consider yourself as if you are born at this moment and as if this is your last moment, now you will give the best. You will give your best. You will do your best in whatever it is that you're doing. Moment by moment, you are born and you are dying. And at every moment, whatever he is saying is applicable. Having got established in this means from the ultimate standpoint, it is the experience of Brahman. But from a relative standpoint, whatever point it is that you're trying to practice in life, the self-purification, all that, when is it that you're going to implement that? Right now. So when you get into that habit, you will progress very fast materially. You will start completing your experiences. You will become a great achiever. And what is most important is you will start progressing very fast spiritually also. So having got established in this, even at the end of life, Antakale. Now, in this context, it is good that you know that in this philosophy, there are two schools of thoughts which had emerged. When we talk of Brahma Nirvanam, it means Mukti. Mukti means ultimate liberation, you know. So, two schools of thoughts, two strong schools of thoughts have emerged. The one school of thought propagates the Jivan Mukti. Means they say you can get liberated or you can get enlightened when you are alive. The other school of thought is Videha Mukti. Means they say no, when you're having this body, that is when you're living, you cannot get the ultimate experience. That ultimate experience can be can be achieved only when you drop the body. Videha. Deha means body. Videha means no body. That is when you die. So it is only after you die physically that you can get moksha. This is another school of thought. Jivan muktihi and videha muktihi. Now you may ask me which one is true. The most interesting part is both of them quote the same verse. The people who propagate Videha Muktihi, they quote this verse and they say, see, Krishna himself says, end of life, Antakale. That is when you can get moksha. They say that. Now people who advocate Jivan Muktihi, they also quote the same line and they say, no, he doesn't say only at the end of life. Api means even at the end of life, which means liberation is possible while living also. So it, right from those days, these two schools of thoughts have always been against each other. People who propagate Jivan Muktihi will attack people who are propagating Videha Muktihi and vice versa. Now, if you go and ask a real master, which is true, Jivan Muktihi or Videha Muktihi, he will say, see, the moment we talk of Muktihi, liberation, it is beyond time. Actually, someone went and asked Ramana Maharishi, is Jivan Mukti true or Videha Mukti? He said to a real Jnani, these things are meaningless because he is always established in that infinite. Then whether you are living or whether you do have a body or don't have a body, these things have no. Ramana Maharishi even said, he went to one step ahead and he said the very idea of liberation itself is meaningless, because the moment we say liberate, it means you are bound. He says you are not bound at all. It is all an illusion. You are thinking you are bound. So the very concept of liberation itself, he says, is meaningless at that level. Then there you are bringing in Jivan Mukti, Videha Mukti, so many things. So as sadhaks, how do you need to approach this? Should you subscribe to Jivan Mukti or should you subscribe to Videha Mukti? Both have their places. See, you can get enlightened at any point of time. That is why he is not talking of any fixed time. He only says you have to get established in that. So the establishment can happen when you are living. Then you become a Jivan Mukta. You become liberated while you are living. But the establishment for some people can happen right at the time of death, physical death. Now when they physically die, so after death they may get moksha, then that person becomes a Videha Mukta, one who has got enlightened after the physical death. It does not matter. The point here is, when are you getting established? Mukti, the liberation, the Brahma Nirvanam happens when you get established thoroughly in the infinite. So instead of focusing on getting established, people are fighting between whether Jivan Mukti is true or Videha Mukti is true. Incidentally, the real meaning of Videha is not dropping the body physically. It is losing the body consciousness. So in that sense, even if you get liberated, if you get enlightened when you are having this body, you are beyond this body only. You are a Videha. King Janaka, he was a realized soul. He was called a Videha. Videha means one without a body. No, that doesn't, don't imagine he was a ghost or something. It's not that. What it means is, even though he had a body, he was beyond it. Videha. It's a beautiful word, So if you look at it from that angle, both Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti are one and the same only. Even after you drop your body, when you become one with the infinite, it is eternal Jivan, eternal life. When you are alive, when you're alive and when you get enlightened, again you've dropped all body consciousness, you become Videha. So Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti are two sides of the same coin. As a sadhak, don't get caught up with these external arguments and all that. What is most important is stitva. Stitva means getting established. So keep doing your sadhana till you get 100% established in that. Till you become completely one with the infinite. That should be your focus. The moment you get into all these kinds of arguments, that is at a very superficial level. Many pundits get into these kinds of arguments. Now, as a sadhak, if you allow your mind to get into all that, then you will miss the boat. You will miss the main point here. So, the main point here is stitva, getting established. So when he says even at the end of life, what he's trying to say is that even death, physical death will not change his perception, will not change his perception in the sense his inner state, inner experience of enlightenment. Some people ask, what will happen if an enlightened person dies? The answer to that is he has already died, his ego has died. See, real death from a spiritual point of view, real death is the death of ego, not the physical death. So you have picked up this body, now then you will drop this body, which is what you call as death. And then you will pick up another body in the next birth, then you will drop that body. This will keep on continuing. Now, this whole exercise, this whole journey has been taken up by you in order to achieve self-purification, perfection, enlightenment. Now, at what point are you going to learn your lessons, complete your experiences and become enlightened? That depends on you only. It may be when you're having a body. It may be just when you're about to drop your body, which is what will lead to Videha Mukti. Various possibilities are there. So as far as you are concerned, why get into so much about Jivan Mukti, Videha Mukti and all that? Very simple. That's why I made the sadhana very simple for you. Antakale means right now. Right now, what am I to do? The moment you bring your focus to this moment, then you become a yogi. Then you are in the path of yoga. Yoga is not mere physical exercises. It is uniting your past and future right into this present moment. Yoga means joining, uniting all your forces right now in this moment. So Mukti, the Brahma Nirvanam, the ultimate experience of enlightenment can happen to a person who is totally in the present. So the entire deeper message of this line is be in the present. If you can catch this present moment fully, that is enlightenment. That is why when someone asked Ramana Maharishi, where do I find myself? He was talking about the higher self, He said, look between your two thoughts. One thought is there, another thought is there. In between the two thought, which is right now the present moment, that is the infinite. The very sadhana, the yoga sankirtan sadhana, the higher empowerments, all these are meant to prepare you slowly to get you to that level where you converge all your energies into just that present moment. See, initially there's a lot of past which you have, so much of future. Future, it's all in your mind only, past and future. You carry a big burden, of the past and also hopes of the future. So in sadhana, we are trying to narrow it down. Through the Yoga Sankirtan sadhana and other empowerment, all the past worries and all we are dropping. They will all get released one by one, the karmas, and the, future hopes in the sense dreaming, all those tendencies will all get released. So you will start converging. If you're least developed, you will be bothered about what happened many years back also. But as you do sadhana, the affectations, that is the incidents related to your internal affectations will start narrowing down in terms of time. Then you will start living on a day-to-day basis. You will plan for the future. I'm not saying you will not plan, but when you're living your life, you'll just live very peacefully without bringing in your worries or anxieties. Then from on a day-to-day, from even one day is too long, you bring it to 1 hour, then you bring it to half an hour, 5 minutes, 1 minute, and then finally it is just this moment. And when you get completely established in that, that is called meditation. True meditation is just settling down right now at this moment, that space between your thoughts. Total silence. Having got established in this, even at the end of life, what a powerful sadhana he is giving. So how do you relativize it and start practicing it? When you're going through your experiences in life, whatever experience you're going through now, that is the most important experience for you. So live it fully, give it your best. Whatever you have to do, do it to the best of your ability. And then when that ends, end it and go to the next experience in a fresh way. This is the practice. It takes a while to master it, but you need to start applying yourself to drop the hang-ups of the previous experience when you move to the next experience. Actually, if you master that, you will grow spiritually very fast. Your consciousness will get uplifted. So having got established in this, even at the end of life, api means even also. Which means you have your whole life with you. At any point, if you choose, you can start evolving. That's why it is said in the ancient wisdom that it does not matter where you are, but it matters where you are going, wherever you are heading. That is what is important. So, having got established in this, so even at the end of life means at any point in life, okay? So, at any point of life, one attains the ultimate liberation of Brahman, Brahma Nirvanam. Brahman means the supreme formless reality. Don't confuse it with the word Brahma. Brahma, Lord Brahma, Lord Brahma is one manifestation of that supreme power, the power of creation. Lord Vishnu is another manifestation of that supreme power, the power of maintenance. Lord Shiva is another manifestation of that supreme power, the power of destruction. Like this, there may be various manifestations of that supreme power, but when he talks of Brahma Nirvanam, that Brahman is that supreme power, all inclusive, formless reality. It cannot have a form because it has no boundary. A form means there has to be a boundary. How do you differentiate between the and one object and another object? Because the object has a boundary, a form. So the moment we talk of the infinite, no boundaries, then it cannot have a form. The various form worships have been given so that your mind can learn to focus, to concentrate, but ultimately you will have to go beyond all these forms and enter into that state of nirvana, Brahma Nirvana. It is your birthright, it is your potential, this is your spiritual potential. Your purpose in life is to go beyond the finite and become one with the infinite. You have infinite powers within you. See, even to say infinite powers is actually a limited statement, because we are limiting infinite to power alone. No. It is infinite in infinite ways. That's why he says Brahma Nirvanam. Of course, Nirvanam, what is meant by Nirvanam, we will see that. But first, you should absorb this energy of Brahman. If you absorb it 100%, this instant you will get enlightened. But to the extent you can, at least appreciating these higher concepts. See, it all starts with appreciating only. Your principles, that is the principle of God, should not be narrow, should not be very limited. Some people, they say my God, your God. The very idea of God is to remove that ego. But there also the ego starts manifesting. So if you are having an idol, if you are worshipping an idol, And that is good for a start, but then you should expand your vision. See, that should become a symbol of the infinite. It should not become a boundary of God. That is where people get stuck. When he says Brahma Nirvanam, Nirvanam means the ultimate liberation. He's saying going beyond all limitations of the various perceptions, the limitations of various feelings and emotions, the limitations of various thoughts, ideologies, beliefs, everything which we have. Going beyond all that and becoming one with that limitless, infinite self. Impossible to put it in words. That's why in the in Ashtavakra Gita, when Janaka got realized, he kept on talking about his experience, and suddenly he says there is nothing more to say, and he stops. So many people wonder, why is there an abrupt ending? It's not an abrupt ending. King Janaka was trying to express that, and then he found that it is not possible to express. So he stopped and went off into meditation. When you go into the depth of what he is trying to convey, there will be no quarrel with anyone. What you will emanate is nothing but peace and peace alone. All the arguments and this and that, don't these look so petty when we think of this vastness, the infinite? You have not come into this world to waste your time on all these petty quarrels, petty things. Do whatever you have to do. Experience whatever you want to experience. But you are actually meant for that highest experience, Brahma Nirvanam. Don't think that this is a prerogative of only certain saints, certain yogis. It is not like that. The fact that you are listening to this means it is a possibility for you. When you soak yourself in this wisdom, and when you keep doing your sadhana, slowly that possibility will start manifesting into a reality. You will get completely transformed from within. So that is the supreme state of Brahman. So when he is talking of Brahman, he has to be emphatic because he is talking from his experience. Lord Krishna was a very incarnation of that infinite. Veda Vyasa, who wrote this, he was one of the greatest masters, an enlightened person. Now, when such people are giving out this wisdom, it is but natural that they are emphatic. They are actually not even being emphatic. They are just making a statement, and that sounds so powerful and emphatic to us because it is coming from their experience. It is a statement of fact which they are giving, whatever they have experienced. So what is this Brahma Nirvana? Nirvanam. I'll give you a few things today, and in the next week we'll complete it. So Nirvanam means the final liberation, enlightenment. what is it that binds you? It is your finiteness. It is your limitations which actually bind you. Now, nirvana means breaking free, going beyond all limitations. What do we mean by limitations? If you take the physical body, now the body has certain limitations. The body is subject to disease. The body will be subject to heat, cold. Sometimes the body will have some pain. Sometimes there will be no pain. Sometimes some disease may be there. Sometimes no. That is how. That is the very nature of the body. Disease, decay, and then death. All these. Now, so these are the limitations. Similarly, when we come to the pranic body, again, it's more powerful. The limitations have reduced. With the pranic body, you can do very many things which your physical body cannot do, but it's still limited. When you come to your emotions are more powerful. Your limitations have come down. Even if your physical body is having pain, you can train your mind to be happy. There are many examples for that. We are not talking of necessarily spiritual masters, even from a worldly sense. I know many people. They learn to be very happy in spite of all the pains of which were present in the physical body. So, when it comes to the emotions, the freedom is more, but still limitations are there. When it comes to the intellect, again, it expands more. But it's still not the infinite. Here when he says nirvanam, it means going beyond the limitations of the body, the pranas, the mind, the intellect, everything, and becoming one with the infinite. The infinite soul, which he calls as Brahman, has no limitations whatsoever. And the most interesting part is Tat Tvam Asi, that infinite you are. If that statement is too high, at least the infinite is within you. If you're able to relate to that at least and get connected, at least the process should start, Once you start getting connected, then you will find that all the limitations of these equipments will stop bothering you. It's a question of time. You will start growing and blooming from within in all directions. That is called Nirvanam. So Brahma Nirvanam, the ultimate liberation of Brahman. I'll also give you a few other dimensions of Nirvanam. See, as I said, every word, Nirvanam and Brahman, all these things, they are, they can be taken for forever. It's a never-ending thing. We have to, if we want to go to the next chapter, at some point we'll have to say, okay, this is enough, so much material has been given, so more than enough, and we need to move along. But otherwise, if you take Nirvanam alone, now lecture, the Sunday after Sunday, we can keep on going, because it is the infinite. It's talking about the infinite. How can infinite have any end? That's why they said Hari Ananta, Hari Katha Ananta. Hari means the infinite. Hari Ananta, that Supreme God is infinite. Hari Katha Ananta, the manifestations of God is also infinite, he says. The katha means you don't need to take it literally as stories, of Lord Vishnu. It is not that. Everything is it's a leela, is a play of God only. Every manifestation, that is also infinite. So I will give you a few dimensions which will help you in your sadhana, which will inspire you, and then we can proceed further. Okay. So the fundamental thing, the base thing is nirvana, means going beyond all limitations. I want you to just conceive that and appreciate that first. In today's meditation, little bit we will see that. That is appreciating or getting a hang of a state which is beyond all these limitations of the finite. Then only this phrase Brahma Nirvanam will mean anything to you. It is not a concept to be just analyzed and we go on making a hair-splitting analysis and then you ask a question and answer is given. It is not merely that. That is good for a start. But the real meaning can be absorbed only through nididhyasana, meditation. So we will stop with that today. It's a very powerful message. Many messages were given, but when it came to Brahma Nirvanam, I think the very principle lifted us to a different level, isn't it? You all would have felt that. So we'll get a little established in that, and through the meditation I'll put some seeds in your deeper layers of your mind, so that when you start your other activities, you'll be able to carry forward this energy. Okay? So sit in a relaxed way. Gently close your eyes. With every breath, I'm becoming more and more relaxed. I am withdrawing my consciousness deeper and deeper into myself. this physical body, the pranas, the various emotions and thoughts are all outside me. I am an observer. I am not this body. I am not these various emotions. I am not these thoughts. I am that supreme consciousness. The ultimate purpose of my life is to attain Brahma Nirvanam, the liberation of Brahman. I am Swayam Prakashit, self-illuminating. Offer your gratitude to God Supreme. Offer your gratitude to your Guru. and all the holy masters. Slowly come back, wriggle your fingers, your toes, rub your palms together to create a warmth. Cup your eyes with your palms. Gently rub your eyes, cheeks, forehead, top of the head, back of the head and neck. Slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. After a deep session like this, if you want to take a little bit of rest, you can always do so. See, when we do the deeper sadhana, you start getting in touch with your own soul. And when that starts happening, you become very peaceful. And it is that peace which you will start projecting in your life to others and to all your experiences. As I told you, we'll be having the Guru Purnima session on 17th. Now, these meditations are preparing you for you to be able to receive the highest grace, because real Guru Purnima is opening up to that Guru Shakti fully, and that Guru Shakti is connected to the infinite. It's coming from the infinite. So when you open up fully, you start experiencing that infinite energy, which is what a true guru's mission is. So we are very fortunate that this verse, verse number 72 of chapter 2, which 71 and 72 are two of the deepest verses of the Bhagavad Gita. These two verses which we have done now. So we are very fortunate that we have got that just before the Guru Purnima, especially the Nididhyasana practice, the meditation practice, the sadhana which I'm making you do. You will start relating to the Guru Shakti with more depth. That is when you receive maximum. Just a word of caution. When you do such deep practices, ensure you don't lose your balance in life. Whatever you ought to do in life practically, do it with a lot of vigor. These sessions are meant to help you do whatever you're doing in life in a better way. So the tendency to shirk action should be avoided at all cost. Okay, this is also very important to receive the higher Guru Shakti. Okay, thank you very much. We'll see you in the next session. Hari Om.